scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead means seeing one's own self simultaneously. As far as the identity of the living being as spirit self is concerned, there are a number of speculations and misgivings. The materialist does not believe in the existence of the spirit self, and apparent philosophers believe in the impersonal feature of the whole spirit without individuality of the living being. But the transcendentalists affirm that the soul and the supersoul are two separate identities, qualitatively one, but quantitatively different. There are many other theories, but all these different speculations are at once cleared off as soon as Sri Krishna is realizing truth by the process of Bhakti Yoga. Sri Krishna is like the sun, and materialistic speculations about the absolute truth are like the darkest midnight. As soon as the Krishna sun is risen within one's heart, the darkness and materialistic speculations about the absolute truth and the living beings is at once cleared off. In the presence of the sun, the darkness cannot stand, and relative truths that are hidden within the dense darkness of ignorance become clearly manifested by the mercy of Krishna, who is residing in everyone's heart as the super soul. In Bhagavad Gita 10:11, the Lord says that in order to show special favor to his pure devotees, he personally eradicates the dense darkness of all misgivings by switching on the light of pure knowledge within the heart of the devotee. Therefore, because of the personality of Godhead's taking charge of illuminating the heart of his devotee, certainly a devotee engaged in his service in transcendental love cannot remain in darkness. He comes to know everything of the absolute and the relative truths. The devotee cannot remain in darkness because a devotee is enlightened by the personality of Godhead. His knowledge is certainly perfect. This is not the case for those who speculate on the absolute truth by dint of their own limited power of approach. Perfect knowledge is called parampara, our deductive knowledge coming down from the authority to the submissive oral receiver, who is bona fide by service and surrender. One cannot challenge the authority of the Supreme Lord and know him also at the same time. He reserves the right of not being exposed to such a challenging spirit of an insignificant spark of the whole, a spark subjected to the control of illusory energy. The devotees are submissive, and therefore the transcendental knowledge descends from the personality of Godhead to Brahma, and from Brahma to his sons and disciples in succession. This process is helped by the supersoul within such devotees. This is the perfect way of learning transcendental knowledge. This enlightenment perfectly enables the devotee to distinguish spirit from matter, because the knot of spirit and matter is untied by the Lord. This knot is called ahamkara, and it falsely obliges the living being to become identified with matter. As soon as this knot is loosened, therefore, all the clouds of doubt are at once cleared off. One sees his master and fully engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, making a full termination of the chain of fluid action. In material existence, a living being creates his own chain of fluid work and enjoys the good and bad effects of those actions, life after life. But as soon as he engages himself in the loving service of the Lord, he at once becomes free from the chain of karma. His actions no longer create any reaction. repeat, thus the knot in the heart is pierced,
Thus the knot in the heart is pierced,
and all misgivings are cut to pieces.
and all misgivings are cut to pieces.
The chain of fruitive action is terminated.
The chain of fruitive actions is terminated.
When one sees the self as the master.
When one sees the self as a master. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishaya Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachari Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So this coming Tuesday is an appearance day of one of our wonderful acharyas, part of our wonderful family, foundational part. I mentioned last night how our family wants sustainability, and the family greatly expands. And the six Goswamis are an integral part and foundational. When Srila Prabhupada was first in America, he just started talking about them right away. And so we became very familiar with them, and we were attracted to them. We just wanted to be just like them, having, on a kind of similar basis, not having any experience or realization of what that really meant to be Goswami. To be frank, most of us were not actually yet Goswami material, but we're completely capable of being your followers. So the servants of God, so his appearance is on Tuesday. So this is a little bit speaking about the six Goswamis' mode of preaching, and if there's any time, maybe just a few words specifically about Goswami. So the servants of God, they come to propagate God consciousness and intelligent people to cooperate with them in every respect. So the Lord is pleased when he sees that his servants are properly respected, because such servants are risking everything for the service of the Lord, and they're very dear to the Lord as such. Sukadeva Goswami, he was sent to serve Maharaj Priya at the time of his death by revealing to him and thus all of us what a man about to die should do. And Priya Maharaj is a perfect student who asks very relevant questions and is faithful to hear the answers. I mentioned, I think it was here the other day, he was only in his 30s. He wasn't like an old man. He was only in his 30s. He had great, enormous responsibility, emperor of the world. He wasn't like the mayor of Farmington Hills, emperor of the whole world. And he wasn't a little mayor, still his responsibility. But he had great responsibility, and a family man, and kids, wife. He didn't hesitate. Once he got the message, he didn't hesitate to find a suitable person to speak to him. What should I do? I'm about to die. What should I do? So the Bhagavatam is a natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Sukadeva Goswami was a thoroughly realized master of the Vedanta Sutra. And consequently, he personally realized the commentary on the Bhagavatam. It wasn't just, Sukha speaking like a parent. He realized, just like I mentioned about Sri Bhakti Siddhanta, when he was 7 years old, he had memorized the entire Bhagavad Gita, verse by verse, but not just like a little parrot. He could speak adequately on the meaning of each verse. So today, to show his boundless mercy upon bewildered materialistic men who on a cross completely over nations who decided for very confidential knowledge. And the perfect process for hearing this, like here now, in present, in the past, and the future, is recommended in the Bhagavatam, which is unuttered, spoken by such a great authority as to be Goswami. By hearing and glorifying the Lord, all person's activities become molded into spiritual activities. Sometimes I hear devotees say to me, well, in my material life, I have to do this and that. I'm like, wait a minute. You're a devotee. Especially for initiated people, you've surrendered yourself. You're Krishna's property now. You don't have a material life anymore. That all activities in the life of a devotee are molded, all activities, not just some over there and I come to the temple now, spiritual life. No, all activities become molded into spiritual activities. And thus all the conceptions of material miseries become completely vanquished. So, foolish people, they want to hear something about the name form. Ever say anything temporary. If you don't want to know how to utilize this propensity for hearing, you're ultimately good. And in spite of popular sentiment, all men are not equal. We mentioned this also. All men are not equal due to their contact and thus influences of modes of material nature. Yes, we're equal spiritually as we are all the spirit soul. But according to the level of understanding and realization, all men are not equal. And thus we want to seek out hearing from those persons who are elevated souls, who are free from the encumbrances of the material energy, and the influence of the material energy. So everyone should be anxious to achieve the highest perfection in the Bhagavatam and according to one's particular activity. And the Bhagavatam indicates that such perfection is called Narayana Smriti, for which everyone must endeavor his best according to where you are, to what your ashram is. Do not just try, do your best. And Krishna will take note. In other words, mold our life in such a manner that one is able to progressively remember the personality of Godhead in every step of life, no matter the situation. And the pastimes of the Lord are executed in cooperation with his pure devotees. It's not that Krishna is standing somewhere on a cloud, as the universalists might, depict on. Like I remember one time, very early on, we got that lesson put into our head really strongly. So, we were not able, not knowing us, to discriminate on different ways Krishna might be exhibited according to the person making the drawing or the picture. So one time somebody brought to our attention a picture. It was an Om sign in the clouds, and there was Krishna. I thought that was cool. In the Om sign, and we didn't know eventually we couldn't walk. So when Prabhupada came, he corrected it. So the pastimes of the Lord, he's not just floating on a cloud in an Om sign. He has pastimes and their interactions with his devotees. Just like, you can't say just like us. We are just like the Lord. The Lord could be having interactions with each other based on Krishna consciousness. So, consequently, historical incidents mentioned in the Bhagavatam, they're mentioned, but they're all related to Krishna. So it's called this, Brahma Samhitam, because it is a sound representation of Lord Krishna, just like the Gita is the sound incarnation of the Lord, because it's spoken by the Supreme Lord. So the Bhagavatam is the sound representation of the Lord because it was spoken by the incarnation of the Lord about the activities of the Lord. One of the eighth offense in chanting, consider the holy name of the Lord and this chanting method to be equal to some materialistic, auspicious activity. No, there are various kinds of reward for material benefits, but the holy name and his chanting are not mere auspicious holy services. The idea is that the Supreme Lord is the supreme enjoyer, and no one, he is no one's servant. In other words, we shouldn't use the Lord as for our benefit. In all cases, we are his servant. It's not like, hey Krishna, no. Hey Krishna, how can I serve you? That is what the Maha Mantra is about. And he is the supreme, therefore the supreme enjoyer. He's no one's servant or supplier. And similarly, since the holy name of the Lord is identical with the Lord, no one should try to use the holy name for one's personal service. Just like I told many times, when somebody has a birthday, that's fine, chant happy birthday, but not Hare Krishna to you. That's incorrect utilization. In fact, use that word. Hare Krishna to you, Krishna. So, it's a nice sentiment, but it's not the proper approach to chanting. So we're specifically interested in Atma Tattva, the soul, described by Prabhupada, the science of God and the soul. In the book, Science of Self-Realization, it's actually just it's a foundational book written by Prabhupada, all about the soul. To understand Atma Tattva, one has to become the opposite of materialistic persons whose only interest is sense gratification or mental speculation. So the materialistic persons in different forms become accepted as leaders. It's just shocking, actually, when you think about it. Right now, America is going through, next year, or this year, they still have an election, for president. They've got the current old guy fighting with the former old guy who wants to become the president again. So they're both old guys. And neither one of them have one iota of spiritual understanding or knowledge. And these fellows are fighting to be the what kind of leader? It's Prabhupada said democracy, demon crazy. What can you say, So not a whole lot we can do about it, at least we should be aware of it. So these materialistic persons in different forms become accepted as leaders. They're accepted as politicians, as sociologists, as philosophers, mental speculators, so-called incarnations of God, as gurus, as magicians, as yogis, as professors. So many things, so many titles. But they're misleading the entire society as a result of it. People in a chaotic condition. The world's in a chaotic condition. It's it doesn't matter, it literally doesn't matter which one of these buffoons becomes the president. Whatever it is, it's going to be chaos. Because of no connection to the Supreme Lord. But those who are interested in real Atma Tattva, they're busy, they're active in Krishna consciousness. 3:25:25, the purport, Prabhupada says the first point is one must see association of persons who are Krishna conscious and engage in his activity in devotional service. Without such association, one cannot make any advancement. He mentions that simply by theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. One must give up the association of materialistic persons, seek the association of devotees, because without the association of devotees, one cannot understand the activities of the Lord. And they even reject that the Lord has activities. So our aim is how to become fully Krishna conscious. And our examples are the six Goswamis. Sri Rupa, Sanatana, Bhattacharya, Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaradas. The Goswamis were followers of the Goswamis. And they were not Goswamis by title or hereditary or by profession. They're real Goswamis. It means they gave the example of how one can become interested in upper top. So members of this we must become followers of the six Goswamis. So what is this Goswami? It means one who can control over the six urges. In other words, control the senses. And as soon as one has practiced to control the urges and the senses, then one becomes Goswami. That is the definition of Goswami. So we should desire, obviously we should anchor and follow these examples of these Goswamis. Everywhere is Vrindavan. Wherever there is Krishna's temple, Krishna's Sankirtan, that's Vrindavan. Whether in Melbourne, Australia, Vrindavan itself, the Bowery, is Vrindavan. One time when a morning walk in Melbourne, you could hear it early in the morning, so people visit 2 in the mornings. And remind Swami of the time he made some comment about this situation of these car horns and how this place was. He felt this, and I'm simply under knowledge. See, with all these car horns? Yes. That's a high level. Devotees from Prabhupada was staying on the Bowery in New York. Such a disgusting situation. People were passed out drunk, vomiting, passing stool and urine in their pants on the sidewalk, and don't walk around these people. And suddenly the devotees, they saw it. That your daily life sometimes you become kind of immune to certain things. But your devotees are living down, and suddenly they just, when they're coming out of the walk, where Prabhupada was staying, and having to walk over and passed out drunk right in the doorway and realize this is no place for a gentleman. So they said something to Prabhupada. They apologized actually. I'm simply seeing Vrindavan. How can we understand that? Well, we won't until we become fully purified, but we at least understand it's possible. So wherever we live, if we're following instructions of Krishna, Guru, that's Vrindavan. Where we live, it's not by trash trading. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, my mind is always Vrindavan, because he's always thinking of Krishna. So he ordered the Goswamis to excavate in Vrindavan. Specifically, Sanatana and Rupa were sent to excavate the forgotten places of Krishna's pastimes. And the other Goswamis, Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, etc., all joined together for executing the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which included writing books about Krishna and his pastimes, his leelas. High-level spiritual understanding books to excavate the forgotten places of Krishna's pastimes and understand the significance of these places. This is the business of the Gopal Swamis. The first business is Krishna Kirtan, always busy, Krishna Kirtan. Just like we perform Kirtan with the coal and the danda, the kartals. So that is one Kirtan. And also writing books, that's also Krishna Kirtan. This is Prabhupada. And read the books, that's also Krishna Kirtan. Not simply this Kirtan, that's not the only Kirtan. If you write books about Krishna, if you read books about Krishna, if you talk about Krishna, if you think about Krishna, if you worship Krishna, you cook for Krishna, you eat for Krishna, it's all Krishna Kirtan. So Goswami means 24 hours a day engaged in Krishna Kirtan. And it's possible once we understand as devotees, whatever we're doing, unless you're told Maya, that otherwise whatever you're doing as a devotee, as a mother, as a father, as a brahmachari, as a Radhadas, it's all for Krishna. It's not mundane activities anymore. It's all Krishna Kirtan, that's your life. And these Goswamis are wonderful examples, sleeping, months apart where we can not imitate. Sleeping at most not more than 2 hours a day. So this Nirada and Karadi, this Goswami, they conquered over these things, their senses. Nitra Ahara, Hidara, Vihara means sense enjoyment. Ahara, eating, collecting. So generally, eating, Nitra, sleep. They conquered over these things. They weren't controlled. We're still having body force us to take a longer than an hour and a half or 2 hours of sleep. We tried to imitate that in the early days, and then everybody would be doing Bhagavatam class. One time, I won't say the place or who, but even the speaker fell asleep. So these things are not to be imitated, but understood, policies. So instead of becoming service and the senses, we have to become servants of Krishna. This is Goswami. And otherwise, if you don't control the senses, don't demand, please eat, please sleep, please have sex, take this, take that, try that. That's your life, subjected to the dictation of the senses. So Nartan Das Thakur, Vriheva Vanati Tape, Havarangi Gori, Tape, Havarangi, always chanting Nitai Gor, or thinking Nitai Gor. Such persons may be a sannyasi, may be a grihasta, and Siddhartha, because if you learn in the thoughts of boarding time. And Nartan is always desiring to associate with such persons. He's desiring the society of such persons. And ISKCON is intended for this matter. When the Goswamis were in Vrindavan, they were popular with everyone, not rock star popular, not that kind of stuff. Now we have in ISKCON Kirtaniya, pop star rock, not that kind of stuff. They were deeply popular. Why? Because of their deep examples of Krishna consciousness. If someone had a quarrel, they'd go to Sanatana Goswami. Sir, there was a disagreement. He just said, well, whatever he said, he gave his judgment. You are wrong, that's all. They would accept. Ordinary men, not saintly persons, the ordinary men were saintly persons, but they were devoted to Sanatana Goswami, and therefore their life was successful. And they would abide by his orders. And because of that, they became liberated. So we can become Jara, Janapriyo, we are ordinary persons. But we can call, even we are ordinary persons, we have a connection. Through Prabhupada, we have a connection with the Goswamis. So we are not on the same level as an ordinary person who has no clue whatsoever. So we can call these ordinary persons, come here, take prasadam, treat them nicely, just hear Hare Krishna, come here and chant. We have now official devotee care. It's not a new thing. The Goswamis perfectly exhibited by their compassion in devotee care. Srila Prabhupada perfectly exhibited by his compassion. You don't need big seminars, just grasp this example of the Goswamis and Srila Prabhupada. Means we should endeavor to appear recognizable by our behavior and dress. We're soldiers in a Mahaprabhu spiritual army. So the soldiers, they dress in uniform, or the police and soldiers, they're in uniform. Why? So they can be recognized. So our Vaishnava attire, it's not mundane. It's an act of compassion for those seeking shelter, seeking relief from Maya. So that we identify ourselves as Vaishnavas. And people, oh, Hare Krishna, can you help me? Can you show? I was taking a walk, it was like a jogger walk in Wales, on a little beach. What a fancy beach, a little beach. And suddenly this person is running up to me, and I'm alone, I'm kind of wondering, but it's another lady, so I'm figuring probably they're not going to attack me. But they were really like, come up to me. Is that Hare Krishna? Yes. Oh, do you have a temple here? Do you have a Govindas here? Yes, we have both. This person had been sent to Wales for some kind of, they're going to get centered or interested for their work nowadays. I didn't have to be begged to, just be another person, but because of being identified, we don't have to do that much. Just like Srila Prabhupada is walking down the streets of the Lower East Side, and Howard Lee, Prabhupada said, Mr. Vita, Mr. Prabhupada, later to know as Howard Lee, I've noticed him, and he addressed me, oh, are you from India? Thus, he began his spiritual life. Just like Lalita from Columbus, who was in the hospital, she's a hospice nurse, doctor actually, but had her cooking all on. And she goes into the room and those lights are very dim. There was somebody in the bed who wasn't there the day before, and there was some distraught looking lady next to that person. And she looks up and she sees Sukutima. Are you Krishna devotee? And that person in the bed was actually a Prabhupada disciple. None of us knew. He wasn't living in the local area, but he'd been airlifted to Columbus. Immediately she got into action. Devotees brought over Chadar, Holy Garden, Chadar, all the things you need, because he was just about to go. And just because of the good how difficult is that, And not a necklace. Now people sometimes like to put all kinds of things and then put Tulsi too. No, Kuntimala means Tulsi, us. Another thing is don't hang things on your Kuntimala. I see that sometimes too. Maybe. Just don't take service from Tulsi. If you have some little thing you want to just put another string, another, silver chain, gold chain, whatever. And of course, I think you're familiar with that story about Jayanama's mother. Yeah. Just this girl, she's really pretty new devotee. She's hospice nurse, and she's going out the door of her apartment. She hears a voice, and she lives alone. So where's this voice? Put on the key lock. I start taking another step toward the door. Put on the key lock. So she goes back like in a trance, and she's putting on the key lock, and she's singing, putting on the key lock, and I'm going to work. But when she got there, was in this one room, and all the family was there, and you look up, you're here. And the daughter goes, are you one of them? Because just my brother was one of you. And just last night I was praying to him to send a sign, and now you're here. All because of the deal. And the lady who was just to go was the mother of HG Malti Prabhu, who, if you don't know much about him, at least you know his picture is on every Rath Yatra cart. And then the brother says, last week I was in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and there was this big parade in the street with 3 huge carts, and my brother's picture was on one of those carts. Just see. So the Vaishnava is not envious. Our only business is to give people Krishna consciousness. The whole world is suffering from the material disease of life, so of course they're unhappy. So let's preach this Krishna consciousness. Bhakti Siddhanta said, we try to save at least one man, and Prabhupada said the same thing. That was a vision of Bhakti Siddhanta. And suffering is not limited to any particular economic bracket. Last year, there was this big millionaire. No, it wasn't. It was a billionaire. That means really filthy rich. And it was in New York City. He had this elegant office, of course, the entire building, skyscraper. And in his office, which was very large, he had works of really rare art, each one valued at millions of dollars. Yet this man was had a beautiful life, everything, and he wasn't happy. And without any forewarning, one day, he shot himself to death in his beautiful office with all his beautiful art. Suffering is there unlimitedly for everyone by the grace of Mother Devi. And we do have an opportunity to make a difference. Rupa Goswami wrote in the Bhakti Rasamrita, quoting from the Vedic literature. He wrote it. He was quoting Vedic literature. He was giving evidence. So formerly people would take it as truth that they were giving reference from the Vedic literature. New Sadhu Shastra, that's our points of reference. Nowadays, even devotees will accept such evidence. People take evidence from their minds and their senses only. Formerly, society wasn't so degraded, and as soon as you get evidence from the Vedas, they would accept. So please study these verses. Goswami's we follow in their footsteps. Shown for us by Srila Prabhupada, then our lives will undoubtedly become successful. Goswami like. And people will then Prabhupada say, and then people will adore this Hare Krishna movement and will become successful. So this is the vision and the ultimate teachings of Srila Bhagavatam. And we've received this by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sanatati General, His Divine Grace to Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Being here today. I know it wasn't great weather out there. And I know there's another program coming up. Your Sunday program, which I will be taking your leave after this, and I'll be going over to Ypsilanti. So I definitely want to thank all of you. And those who are there in the little cyberspace, thank you very much. I was here this morning on the cyberspace. I wasn't going to come out of the oh, but then I found out that Ronnie came and said, why didn't you come and tell me you were coming over here? So wonderful what we're giving, and that all of you are taking serious participation. It's not a small thing in this day and age, and especially all of you with family, jobs. It's not a small thing, so I'm very appreciative of all of your efforts. Thank you so much. And the children who are taking part, actively taking part, this is probably the most encouraging thing. Because Prabhupada said, actually he told us that, oh, the first generation, which is my group, we're going to be stumbling and bumbling through. So then our children will push it a little forward. They said, be the third generation. So that's like this thing. Then at that point, things can really move along. Thank you very much, the kids and their parents, and the leaders of this temple that have made this temple a family friendly. I appreciate it. Any comments, questions?
HG Malti Prabhu. Thank you so much for the class. I didn't totally get Janan Prabhu's pastime.
We're having feedback here.
The Tilak pastime, can you just elaborate? I didn't totally get that.
About Jayananda.
Please,
Mother,
yeah.
It was about his mother. So after Jayananda passed, he was such a beautiful devotee. After he passed, Srila Prabhupada wrote him a letter. Nobody had asked, but he wrote this letter to him. And he said, and he started the letter, I don't know, whether you may have gone back to God like you now, or maybe if you have some desires, and it will give you elevation to a higher planet, heavenly planet, where you can, and then finish your desires and then go back to God. So he started it like that. But then in the end, you're after that. But I think, considering all the wonderful, amazing service he did, I think that we'll go back to God. And because he was such a Rathayatra Acharya, he got this incurable leukemia. And even on his deathbed, knowing he was dying, he was still helping guide the Rathayatra activities. Here's what you have to do, here's how you have to do it. So that's why Prabhupada said, there's this picture on the Rathayatra cars. He helped consider in the second, he got his case on the second Rathayatra 68 in San Francisco when they had the first hand-built, hand-pulled car. He was there with shoulder to shoulder. At that time, he was a taxi driver. So he could kind of return a little bit his own schedule. So he spent a lot of time assisting with that. So after he left his body, which was in Los Angeles, it was during the Brahma Muhurta hour, I believe, of Mangalarti. And he left his body. And then, devotees to some degree had kept up with his mother. And time goes by, and somehow the connection, like maybe she knew things, but the connection got a little lost. So people didn't know where she was, or if she was even living or not living. And then here's this girl who became young girl in her early 20s, had become initiated by Shantanama Swami and getting the name Kamindi. And she was a hospice nurse. So she was taking that service as a job, but she took it as a service. And when she would go and she had a little vial of gum and just some tulsi leaves, and she had a card with a mantra on it. And just something right now. And when you're in that type of position, it's not considered ethical to discuss death unless the person brings it up. Then so you can't really openly preach. It's not really, you can lose your job actually. But if the person brings it up, no problem. Well, there was this one lady and she wasn't speaking, but what she would do, she would chant in the ears of the non-communicated persons, meaning they were conscious, unconscious, she would chant the mantra. And it's just this one lady just appeared like she liked it when she chanted. So she thought that day she'll start her rounds with that lady. And when she opened the door, and you don't come here, I am. It's very quiet. The lights are very dim. Because your senses are in a different heightened state at that time. So quiet, lights are dim. She sees the whole family's there. Then she can understand that the time has come for this lady. So she paused in the doorway. And that's when the daughter looked like, oh, you're here. And she goes, are you one of them? Last night, my brother was one of them. I was praying last night to my brother for a sign, and now you are here. And then the other brother, the little one goes, I was in South Africa. I was in Johannesburg, and it was this big, it was a big festival with big, huge carts and music and dance. And the lead cart, my brother's picture was on that cart. You can imagine how that mind-blowing that must have been. This is a decade, I think this is 2005, and he passed in the 70s. So many years, and you're just like an ordinary person, and you see your brother's picture on a cart in South Africa. So we don't know what to do. Can you help us? So what an opportunity it was. But she's very young, and she goes, well, I know myself very new, but I know a few things, and if you like, I'll do my best. But she knew to put the tulsi, she knew, the water, the tulsi, for the tired, or not tired, chanted whatever mantra she knew. And then they asked her, will you please speak? I don't know if it was a funeral or memorial, but they asked her to speak. This is a simple devotee. She wasn't, again, she was quite new. But we forget that whatever we know is volumes more than the active person. So she went and spoke. That lady was Jayananda's mother. So this shows you how Krishna does not forget his devotees. And we're always told, and your families and the families in the past, those coming. And here is such a vivid example, including and by example. Krishna doesn't forget his devotees are those connected to the devotees. So how important it is to, in some way or other, be identified as a Vaishnava. Never know when we may call to service. Just like on the airplane sometimes. Is there a medical aboard? Is there a doctor aboard? Is there an emergency? You know, because the doctor can't code something once they never know. Somebody get called up. So we, by our identity, I know so many stories like this. See the devotee, and somebody comes out. Can you help us? Don't be shy. If you feel like you can't always put myself, I'm like, I cannot go without too long. It's just like I wash my face at night, I put it on. I'm not going to be talking about that one too much. Those young dudes come, they're going to have an issue because that dude's going to be there. And the 50 long, because Prabhupada told us the young dude's going to touch you. That's the whole thing with, listening yesterday to a narration by Satyananda this morning about HG. Of course, it's a little different, but still the same thing. Having some identification, some connectivity is something connected to Krishna. So that we should be on call constantly. But sometimes doctors, they have to be on call during a certain period, like Prabhu also sometimes has to be on call. Even, so like if he gets a call, he has to immediately leave. So we should just, like whenever he passes away, putting on some Tulsimala, putting on jail, pass away, we're on call. Don't let me know when we can help you if you need. It's a big responsibility in the community. And I was realizing last night, wow, sometimes I think I'm not taking this so seriously. I'm like, we shouldn't hesitate. We shouldn't hesitate to be on the call. Because we might be the ones who need to help us at a given point. Who knows where we're going to be? Every time I get in my car, I'm in the city, start checking that machinery there.
Thank you so much.
Like request also can consider that this pastime is to be related to the for disciples. Like now they are very valuable. Like now, if we say pastimes of Krishna and Brahma, some people may correlate, some people may not correlate, but when we have this kind of pastime, how like now Krishna saved a devotee and the separation of Krishna and Prabhupada with the devotees. It will be more practical for the people in general. So, is there a way like we can have them like, recorded or in a book form or something like that?
Is there any way one?
Can we
It will be in
compile,
a book or
compile together?
Compile together.
Okay, sorry, yeah. I am deaf, like anything. I have hearing aids, but they're not always effective in capturing those. Yeah, I've thought about that. Not only myself, there's so many instructions that as a disciple of Prabhupada, we were given some personal information. And Prabhupada told Jamuni, asked me, are you sharing what I've taught you, or are you telling the others? And she hadn't been, and he goes, if you don't, you become envious. He wasn't telling, like now it's really like you tell somebody something, where is that? Well, I can understand because people a lot of time don't put a Prabhupada Bhasha that he never said. So I fact check everything myself, but if I know the person and I trust the person and they tell me something, I'll accept. And I'm glad to hear it. Because anything that he spoke to us was to help bring us up, to bring us closer to Krishna, to tell us what we should do and how to do it, to get us out of the ignorance we were so deeply rooted in. But still, if you read the books by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, you listen to the morning, the lectures, there's like, I forget how many lectures, recorded lectures. There's morning walk conversations. Those have so many amazing nuggets of, little hints of, hey, he's thought about this, and, he's talking in many of those conversations with his leading people, and sometimes we'll have these mock arguments, so, to help them learn how to preach. So there's that, if you just at least start familiarizing yourself with every aspect of Srila Prabhupada. Because what's it mean to go, that Prabhupada, and you don't even know what he's taught, or you're not even following it. So we really need to become closer to Prabhupada, because he's the one who's taking us, putting us closer to Krishna, and that's a fact. Speaking about Jai Prabhupada, last night I was really doing this Jai Guru Day, so please pay attention. With the straw between my teeth. Srila Prabhupada taught us not to chant Jai Guru Day. There's 3 incidences that are even recorded somewhere. And he explained why not. Because first of all, it's impersonal. There's so many Jai Guru Day. Who are you talking about? Especially during Srila Prabhupada's Guru Puja, when it's for him. And most people are I can say it because he's not true, but I won't. But he's your Karma Guru or Karma Guru, whatever, it's getting more and more, but not your Jai Guru Day. Prabhupada said that it's actually impersonalists, that the impersonalists use a Jai Guru Day, because there's no name attached, because they were all one, we're all, that's their concept. So it's just something that, it may seem it's a big deal, but if Prabhupada mentioned it, it should be considered enough of a big deal to do it. And this one it doesn't require rearranging the furniture or spending anything, just mindfully stop driving. And you can say, oh, but I heard everybody, that's a fact. Because people are not informed. There's a lot of information out there from good sources. We have to deal with it sometimes. It is there, including what I just told you.
It's been more than 6 months, Malti Prabhu, ever since you instructed not to sing Hare Krishna to you. So we stopped in our Bhakti Riksha, we don't sing Hare Krishna.
I noticed that.
Yeah, so, and then, you were there at the Bhakti Riksha. Same thing again, I told her at least.
And because it's really hard to correct a bad habit. Just like when you first come to Krishna consciousness, we have so many bad habits, weed or smoking or drinking or all these things, it's part of the so-called normal life out there. We don't do these things, so you have to break the habit. So that even within Krishna consciousness, if you get a habit, it's not quite right. It's hard to break it because you've been cranking it out. But still, we should try our utmost to find out what we can and practice it. That's Prabhupada is given it. It's never anything too difficult. That's what's so wonderful. And the bottom line, other people like telling, oh, they're fasting for this and for that, and it's not anything Elijah thinking. It's like, so what? Have you chanted one good round, meaning one offensive? Have you even said Hare Krishna without offense? Just get down to the basics. If we can do that, offenselessly chant our rounds would be so amazing. You all know when you chant good rounds. You know how you feel. It's actually possible that one day we'll only chant good rounds, offenses rounds, without work on it. And all these other little fasting for this and that are not part of the Vaishnava. Some of the stuff I hear is like, I don't even say anything, and it's like, okay, it's your tradition, but it's not taking me anywhere. So if we just stick to what we've been doing by Srila Prabhupada, they made this clear in 68 January when we were still kind of like, seeing if it came from India, that would be okay, and anybody from India, they'll tell me all these things, and we believe you. They're all like, show us, no, like, this guy came to our temple. This person came to our temple in San Francisco, on these little strings, I probably told us a few times, but these little colorful red and yellow strings, that he's giving it to us, and so we had to tie on the wrist to somebody, like the girls to one of the men, and then to one of the girls to become brother or sister. Rocky, this thing. And so we're thinking, oh, that was pretty cool, we and Diana, that mentioned Diana yesterday. So we sort of laugh about it to this day when we happen to be back, So then, we have one of those strings on our wrist. And then somehow Prabhupada found out about it, he wasn't there. And he goes to the clinic, he would always go to the most senior disciple, but he so he goes to the clinic because he expected us to carry the banner. And he was explaining, who told you this? I didn't tell you this. This is simply a Hindu custom. It's a custom, it's a cultural thing. But it's not Vaishnava, and it's not Hindu Krishna. Then we got it. It was like, we didn't like, but no, we got it. The standard connected to Krishna, that's the standard. And Prabhupada got us home really early. So in one way, I was fortunate in one way, I was fortunate to be coming from a Native American background because it was kind of easy to give up that stuff. And you all came from pretty pious backgrounds, even if maybe some of you might have had some impious actions due to just coming in, still you knew. And, so then it made it harder to give up some of these extraneous things. And then you have your families, and you have to, like somebody told me yesterday, the family's expecting you to act in a certain way at a certain time. Well, but even if I'm your family. So you're obliged to gently participate in maybe certain things that might not be to our standard. We understand that. But we shouldn't import them into our temple. That's the point. You may at home have to do something, especially as a family. But our temple should be pure Vaishnava. And that creates a very distinct value, a very distinct atmosphere. And it's welcoming, it's open, it's not like only a few people come in here. Like there's places you go and put a stamp on your hand at one part level. If you pass it, get a stamp. You can't actually, sometimes you can't even see it, then you have to put your light under your hand under this light and the stamp will glow. Other sometimes you see it, then you can come in. We're not like that. Our door's open. And we're trying to have our hearts be open too. And that's what people feel more than anything. I'm really happy to be able to say that when people visit this center, they feel it. Again, thank you all.
Yes, Malti Prabhu ki
Jai.